This house looks like the kind of place that should take 2 years, dozens of contractors, and a fortune to build. But here's the part that doesn't make sense. Most of it was built somewhere you can't even see. The walls, the structure, the windows, even major parts of the interior were prepared inside a factory, then transported to the property and assembled on site. And somehow, when the pieces came together, the result looked less like a prefab house and more like a multi-million-dollar custom home. So how is that actually possible? And more importantly, are these homes really faster and cheaper to build? Or is the word prefab hiding a much bigger price tag? Today, we're looking at 15 prefab homes that could seriously challenge the Barndominium in 2026. And some of them are going to completely change the way you think about factory-built homes.
Welcome to Barndo Dreams.
And hidden decisions that make them possible. And today's episode is especially interesting because we're stepping outside the traditional Barndominium. We're looking at 15 prefab homes that are proving you don't necessarily need a traditional construction site to build something extraordinary. But don't judge these homes by the word prefab, because once you see what is being built inside these factories, and how quickly some of these structures can go from factory floor to finished property, you might start wondering whether traditional construction is becoming the slow way to build. So stay with me, because the final homes on this list are where things get seriously interesting. And if you're into Barndominiums, prefab homes, unconventional builds, and the future of housing, subscribe to Barndo Dreams and let's get into number 15. At number 15, there's a problem with this house. It doesn't look prefab. Look at the glass walls, the black steel frame, the massive cantilevered roof, the timber ceiling flowing from the living room toward the deck. You'd expect a project like this to involve months of framing, complicated site work, and a long list of contractors. But almost everything that makes this house what it is started somewhere completely different. Inside a factory, the Glass Horizon Pavilion uses 3 volumetric steel frame modules that were constructed off-site before they ever reached the property. And here's where the process gets crazy. The electrical system, plumbing, and even the triple pane glazing were already installed before the modules arrived. Then 3 enormous pieces were transported to the site, lifted into position by crane, and placed onto the foundation. The entire crane set took less than 8 hours. Now look at the finished result. 12-foot multi-slide glass doors open the living space directly onto the wrapped mahogany deck. Polished concrete floors provide integrated radiant heating, while cedar ceiling planks continue from inside to the exterior soffits. And that's what makes this house interesting. The real innovation isn't that it was built in a factory. It's how much of the difficult work was already finished before the house ever arrived at the property. From the outside, this next home looks almost like it was designed specifically for a winter movie. The Alpine Scandinavian A-frame rises against the snow-capped pines with a dramatic matte black roof that stretches almost all the way to the ground. Pale pine timber softens the exterior, while an enormous triangular glass facade completely changes the way the interior connects to the landscape. And then you step inside. Your eyes immediately follow the angled cross-laminated timber rafters upward, all the way to the peak of the ceiling. Below, a warm Scandinavian-style lounge surrounds a suspended steel fireplace, while a floating open riser staircase leads to a loft bedroom overlooking the double-height living room. But the part that makes this home especially interesting isn't what you see. It's how quickly this entire shell came together. Instead of building the structure piece by piece on the mountain, the home was created as a panelized kit using pre-insulated structural insulated panels manufactured to millimeter precision. Once the pieces reached the site, the crew assembled the entire shell in less than 4 days. And for a mountain property, that isn't just impressive, it can completely change the economics of the build. Because when your building season is limited by snow and freezing temperatures, losing weeks to weather delays can mean losing an entire construction year. This is where prefab construction starts becoming more than just a faster way to build. It becomes a way to build where traditional construction may struggle to keep up. If the previous home was about disappearing into the mountains, this one takes the opposite approach. It's bold, industrial, and built around one question. What if your home could give you complete privacy without sacrificing natural light? Meet the industrial steel courtyard. From above, The layout forms a powerful U shape, with 3 wings wrapping around a completely private central courtyard and pool. From the street, the dark corrugated steel and warm wood exterior gives almost nothing away. But walk through the discreet entrance, and the entire house suddenly opens up around you. Exposed matte gunmetal I-beams run through the interior, contrasting with rich walnut cabinetry, warm lighting, and enormous open spaces. And here's where this design gets particularly interesting. The steel structure wasn't assembled piece by piece on site. Heavy-gauge steel frames were fabricated inside a factory, where the geometry of the entire courtyard could be precisely controlled before the modules ever arrived at the property. That allowed the designers to create huge clear-span rooms without filling the interior with load-bearing walls. The same structural advantage that makes steel frame barndominiums so appealing. Then came the part that would normally turn into a major construction headache. The modules were craned into position around the pool deck, locking the entire courtyard geometry into place. The result is a home where almost every major room gets daylight, while the courtyard itself shields the living spaces from neighboring properties. And that's the real trick here. The courtyard isn't just a luxury feature. It's the thing that makes privacy, daylight, and open space work together. A traditional crew could spend weeks getting a complex courtyard structure perfectly aligned on site. Here, much of that precision was already solved before the first module arrived. And then we get to the house that looks like it shouldn't be standing at all. The modern cedar cantilever immediately grabs your attention with a second floor that appears to float 15 feet over the glass-walled level below. No obvious columns, no massive supports interrupting the view. Just a dramatic cedar-clad upper floor projecting into the landscape. Walk underneath that enormous overhang, and you'll find a covered outdoor patio before entering a bright foyer finished in light white oak. Inside, the open kitchen and dining area continue that feeling of uninterrupted space, while the bedrooms upstairs take advantage of the panoramic views created by the cantilever. But here's the question. How do you make an entire upper floor hang that far over the lower level without turning the ground floor into a forest of support columns? The answer is hidden inside the structure. A steel truss network was integrated into the upper module inside the factory, essentially turning the entire cantilevered section into one precisely engineered structural component. When arrived on site, the dramatic projecting section wasn't assembled piece by piece. It was secured into position in a single afternoon. And that's what makes this home so fascinating. The architecture looks complicated. The engineering is complicated. But much of that complexity was solved before the structure ever reached the building site. With conventional construction, creating a 15-foot cantilever like this could mean extensive engineering, temporary shoring, complicated site coordination, and significantly more time. Here, the factory essentially turned one of the hardest parts of the house into a finished structural module ready to be installed. And that's the pattern we're starting to see across these homes. The more complicated the architecture becomes, the more valuable precision factory construction can become. At first glance, the modernist black barn looks like it was pulled straight from an old rural farmstead. But walk inside, and almost everything about it changes. The long, traditional gabled silhouette is wrapped in dark charred-wood siding, with hidden gutters and almost no visual clutter. Then the doors open, and suddenly you're standing in a bright, gallery-like interior with crisp white walls, pale ash flooring, and a soaring ceiling that makes the entire home feel dramatically larger than it actually is. Full-height windows at the ends of the structure flood the interior with natural light, creating a sharp contrast against the almost black exterior. But the most interesting part isn't the appearance. The exterior timber was treated using showstoppers, an ancient Japanese technique that chars the surface of the wood. Beyond creating that distinctive black finish, the treatment can improve the wood's resistance to moisture, insects, and decay when properly executed. And the modern technology doesn't stop there. The timber frame wall panels were manufactured off-site with continuous exterior insulation already integrated into the system. That means the home's thermal envelope was being created in a controlled factory environment before the structure even reached the building site. It's an unusual combination, an ancient wood preservation technique wrapped around a highly engineered modern building system. And somehow, the two work together perfectly. Now here's where the idea of luxury starts to change. The Net Zero EcoPod doesn't try to impress you with size. It does almost the opposite. It's compact, single-story, and deliberately efficient, with a green sedum roof, integrated solar panels, and clean geometric architecture. But step inside, and the small footprint becomes much harder to notice. Built-in cabinetry eliminates visual clutter. Hidden storage takes advantage of spaces that would normally be wasted. Even the dining area can fold away when it isn't needed. And then there's the glass. The home uses high-performance, quadruple glazed windows designed not only to improve insulation, but also to dramatically reduce outside noise. Close the door, and the busy world outside can suddenly feel surprisingly distant. But this is where the EcoPod gets really interesting. The goal wasn't simply to make a small house look modern. The entire building was designed around using less energy in the first place. Factory-controlled construction, rooftop solar, battery storage, and heat recovery ventilation system work together to reduce the home's dependence on outside energy. The result is a home designed to produce at least as much energy as it consumes, potentially even more over the course of a year, depending on the system and local conditions. And that raises an interesting question. If a smaller home can provide comfort, privacy, and energy independence while using dramatically fewer resources, how much house do you actually need? Building a home in the countryside is one thing. Trying to squeeze one into a narrow city lot is a completely different challenge. That's where the urban mod stack comes in. Instead of spreading outward, this 3-story home builds upward using a series of offset rectangular volumes. Fiber cement panels, warm timber, and black aluminum trim give the exterior a contemporary appearance, while the stacked geometry creates balconies, overhangs, and visual depth. Inside, the layout is just as deliberate. The main level connects the living room to an elevated kitchen, while a central floating steel staircase becomes the spine of the entire house. Follow it upward, and you'll find bedrooms, a dedicated home office, and eventually a private rooftop deck overlooking the city. But the architecture isn't the only clever part. On a tight urban site, construction logistics can become a nightmare. There's limited space for materials, limited room for heavy equipment, and often strict restrictions on noise and working hours. So instead of building everything piece by piece on site, the home arrived as 4 factory-finished volumetric modules. The modules were positioned onto the prepared foundation in less than 2 days, dramatically reducing the amount of construction activity happening in the neighborhood. That's one of the moments when modular construction starts to make genuine sense. The advantage isn't simply building faster. It's being able to move most of the messy construction process somewhere else and bring the finished pieces to the city when they're ready. Now imagine building a house in a place where summer temperatures can climb into triple digits. Most people would immediately think, bigger air conditioner. The Desert Passive Pavilion takes a completely different approach. Its architecture begins with the climate itself. Broad roof overhangs shield the walls and windows from intense sunlight. Deep bronze-framed windows are carefully positioned beneath those overhangs, while the exterior uses precast concrete panels with a rammed earth appearance that blends naturally into the desert landscape. But walk inside, and the difference becomes even more noticeable. The shaded exterior keeps direct sunlight away from the glazing, while clear-story windows bring daylight deep into the interior without exposing the rooms to excessive solar gain. Then there's the concrete. Those massive walls provide thermal mass, allowing the building to absorb and release heat gradually instead of allowing indoor temperatures to swing rapidly with every change in outdoor conditions. The panels themselves were manufactured off-site with an insulated core and are transported to the property for rapid installation. And that's the real lesson here. In an extreme climate, energy efficiency isn't always about adding more mechanical equipment. Sometimes the smartest solution is to design the building so it needs less mechanical help in the first place. And finally, we have a design that proves modular construction doesn't have to look futuristic. The Ranch Executive Modular could easily be mistaken for a high-end custom ranch built entirely on site. Stone accents, dark board and batten siding, a 3-car garage, and a wide covered porch give it the familiar appearance of a traditional executive home. But step through the front door and the scale becomes obvious. The entry opens into a large great room with vaulted timber ceilings before flowing directly into a high-end kitchen. French doors connect the dining area to the covered rear porch, creating a seamless transition between the interior and the backyard. And here's where the modular advantage becomes almost invisible. The entire home was divided into 6 large modules, with plumbing, electrical systems, cabinetry, tile, and other finishes completed inside the factory before the modules ever reached the property. Once those sections were assembled, the connections were finished, and the individual modules effectively disappeared into one continuous home. That's important because one of the biggest misconceptions about modular construction is that it automatically means small, boxy, or repetitive. It doesn't. When the architecture is designed around the manufacturing process from the beginning, modular construction can produce a home that feels every bit as intentional and customized as a traditional build. And when you stop thinking of modular homes as boxes and start thinking of them as precision-built sections of a much larger design, the possibilities become a lot more interesting. What if just 500 square feet could deliver the feeling of a high-end luxury suite? That's exactly what the micro-luxury glass cube is designed to do. A compact studio wrapped in floor-to-ceiling smart tinting glass, matte gray aluminum framing, and a wraparound deck. Step inside, and the small footprint almost disappears. With a tap on a phone, the smart glass shifts from completely transparent to frosted privacy, while motorized furniture, including a bed that drops down from the ceiling, transforms the same space from a daytime lounge into a private bedroom in seconds. And here's where the prefab advantage becomes obvious. The entire home was built as one complete unit inside a precision factory, transported on a single lowboy trailer, and made fully operational within hours of arriving on site. For a backyard studio, guest suite, or anyone wanting to experience off-site living without committing to a full-size home, this tiny glass cube packs a surprising amount of luxury into a very small footprint. What happens when you combine luxury architecture with one of the toughest environments to build in? You get the coastal monolith. Set along a scenic coastline, this striking home is raised on sleek pilotis and wrapped in white fiber cement panels, salt-resistant aluminum roofing, and enormous sliding glass doors that open toward an ocean view terrace. Inside, soft light reflects across white oak floors, while hurricane impact rated glass turns the living room into a front row seat to the ocean. But the real story isn't just what you can see. Coastal homes have to fight salt corrosion, high winds, and extreme weather, so this design uses marine-grade steel framing and non-corroding composite materials. Much of the home was constructed off-site before being lifted onto concrete piers, allowing it to be sealed against wind and salt air before a conventional build might have even finished its framing. And in hurricane-prone regions, that kind of head start can be critical. Every extra week a traditional structure sits exposed on an open job site is another week of vulnerability to the elements. Some homes hide their structure behind walls. This one turns the structure itself into the centerpiece. The timber and glass loft combines massive glulam posts and beams, black steel brackets, and full-height glass curtain walls to create a 2-story home with a dramatic urban industrial character. Step inside and natural spruce and fir immediately set the tone. Huge glulam columns define the space without closing it off, while an open-tread steel staircase rises toward a mezzanine bedroom overlooking the double-height living room. But there's something even more impressive happening behind that clean appearance. Using digital twin modeling, every beam and steel connector was fabricated off-site to sub-millimeter accuracy. When the components arrived, they fit together almost like a giant precision puzzle, allowing the structure to be assembled in days without on-site adjustments. That's important because there's nowhere to hide mistakes when your structure is also your interior finish. Here, the beams aren't covered with drywall. They're the architecture. Imagine building a luxury home on a mountain ridge where the views are incredible, but the weather can turn against you in minutes. That's the challenge behind the minimalist ridge house. Set directly along the crest, the home uses dark standing seam metal and weathered stone fascia to create a low-profile design that almost disappears into the landscape. Inside, the experience changes completely. Glass runs along both sides of the central hallway, creating the sensation that you're floating above the valley. Even the master suite's freestanding soaking tub is positioned directly toward the panoramic view. But building a location like this isn't easy. An exposed, windy ridge can make traditional construction painfully unpredictable. So instead of building every major component from scratch on site, the heavy wall and roof sections were prefabricated beforehand. When a window of good weather arrived, builders had just 4 days to get the structural shell erected before the mountain could change the equation again. And that's the real advantage here. On a difficult site, speed isn't just about saving time. It can determine whether the build works at all. What happens when you take the massive scale of a Barndominium and combine it with the speed and precision of prefab? You get the hybrid prefab Barndo. Home 14 brings together a massive steel-framed monitor barn profile, warm timber accents, a wraparound porch, and modern black frame windows. Then you walk through the oversized double doors, and the scale becomes even more impressive. A 30-foot vaulted clearspan great room creates the massive open-feeling Barndominiums are known for, while a huge stone fireplace, chef's kitchen with a commercial range, and mezzanine loft push the design firmly into luxury territory. But the clever part is how it's built. The main structure uses a rigid red iron steel frame, while pre-finished modular room pods handle the bathrooms, utility spaces, and kitchen. That means the home gets the durability and open-span potential of steel Barndo, while also taking advantage of the speed and polish finish of factory construction. So if you've ever felt stuck choosing between a traditional Barndominium and a modern prefab home, this design offers a different answer. Why choose one when you can combine both? And finally, we reach the home that takes high-end prefab luxury to another level. The Prairie Glass Estate is less like an ordinary house and more like a private architectural resort, with floating roof planes, floor-to-ceiling glass, horizontal stone walls, and integrated reflection pools. A floating water walkway guides you toward the grand entrance, opening into a living space framed by enormous 14-foot glass panels. Inside, custom Italian cabinetry, concealed appliances, and marble surfaces give the kitchen a refined, almost gallery-like appearance. Outside, massive sliding doors disappear completely into concealed wall pockets, creating one continuous space between the interior lounge, outdoor fireplace, and infinity pool deck. But the most impressive part may be what you don't see. Before construction began, the structural connections, HVAC ducts, and smart home systems were digitally designed and verified, so the major components could come together with remarkable precision. And that brings us to the bigger point of this entire tour. Prefab isn't necessarily about settling for a basic box just because it's built in a factory. At the high end, it's becoming a way to deliver extremely sophisticated architecture with factory control precision and far less of the uncertainty that comes with traditional site construction. If this is what prefab can look like, the old idea that factory build automatically means compromise may be seriously outdated. After seeing all 15 homes, one thing is hard to deny. The future of home building is becoming a lot more interesting. Whether you prefer the massive open spaces of a classic Barndominium or the high-tech precision of modern prefab, today's building methods give you more ways than ever to create a home around the way you actually want to live. But now I want to know which one won you over. If you had the land and the budget, which of these 15 homes would you build? Was it the breathtaking Prairie Glass Estate, the cozy character of the Alpine A-frame, or the hybrid prefab Barndo that combines two completely different building approaches? Drop your choice in the comments below. And if you could change one thing about your favorite design, tell us that too. If you enjoyed this tour, don't go anywhere. Our next episode is Best Luxury Prefab Home Under $200,000, where we'll find out just how much luxury you can actually get without crossing that $200,000 mark. This is Barndo Dreams. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. We'll see you there.